You've been on my mind. I grow under every day, lose myself in time. At the mention of your name, God only knows. Give thanks and praise. Give thanks and praise. This thing I take its own time for populate, but I won't complain. I won't complain. Give thanks and praise. Oh, I hope this thing do it thing. I hope it do it thing. Declaration of presence. Yeah, man. Pre Birth Citizenship Contract Revocation. Brand new from this sovereign location. Introduction. Well, first and foremost, this presentation is from the House of Dallas Allodial Trust Estate and the Ahuuah Indian Nation in America. Copyright 8/8/2026 by Linton-Oneil, full colon, semicolon, comma, Dallas, aka Ahuuah. Without prejudice, all rights reserved. Notice to state agent is notice to state principal, etc. All. Introduction. The awakening of the divine spark. To declare one's presence is to stand in luminous awareness of the eternal essence that predates all worldly contracts. The pre-birth citizenship contract symbolizes the individual, the invisible. Again, the pre-birth citizenship contract symbolizes the invisible agreement imposed upon the incarnate being, a psychic and legal structure that overlays the pure consciousness of the divine spark. Now, this essay explores the act of revocation, we call it revocation, renunciation, as a sacred reclamation of sovereignty, a return to the monad, the source from which all existence emanates. Got y'all, really got you. The contractual self and its illusion. From the moment of birth, the human being is woven into a web of identification. Name, namonchika, name, nationality, and legal persona. The constructs form the contractual self, a projection designed to interact with the material world. Again, these constructs form the contractual self, which is a projection designed to interact with the material world, the physical world. Yet beneath this facade lies the radiant core of being, untouched by bureaucracy or decree. The revocation, renunciation of the pre-birth citizenship contract is not rebellion against society. It is in fact transcendence beyond the psychic architect that binds the souls to artificial definitions. To revoke is to recognize that the citizen is a mask. I'll repeat that and rephrase it. To renunciate, to renounce, is to be cognizant that the citizen of the citizenry and the citizenship contract is only a mask. a temporary instrument of participation in the physical realm. The true self, which is the divine spark, remain infinite, unregistered, ungoverned by any earthly jurisdiction. Again, any earthly jurisdiction being imposed out here. I should say any worldly jurisdiction being imposed upon the earth. Yeah, man. The dual nature of existence. The physical body corresponds with the physical world, serving as the vessel through which experience unfolds. The non-physical body, however, is a luminous counterpart. That's the invisible way you can't see. The divine spark that mirrors the monad, and it exists within you and the outside. In this duality, the human learns to navigate both density and light. The declaration of presence affirms that while the body may dwell within the laws or rules of matter, the spirit abides in the freedom of source, the monad. This awareness dissolves the illusion of separation. The monad is not distant. It is not, let me slow it down. I'm so excited. This information, yeah, really have me pumped up. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Activate. This one, yeah, should stimulate the item. Yeah, being. Yeah, man. This awareness dissolves the illusion of separation. Again, remember we say we have two away in our one body. God them said the brain have two hemispheres, a left and a right hemisphere. We call it the Ida and the Pingala. These are the two temples we need to unite. So the awareness, this awareness dissolves the illusion of separation. There are some people out there teach say, boy, it's two. Yeah, but you have to harmonize both, to elevate or to transcend to the next level. Don't stay stuck. Telling us that we have to step down from a different place so we can express all of these things to the ones them. When needed there, when we talk, people just knock out, block out, so me have to step down a little bit. That way, you can, get to at least comprehend when I want to stand under my authority. I rather say comprehend, not understand. At least y'all can comprehend, get a little bit of clarity. And as we move forward, yeah, it will be more expressive. So step by step. Again, this awareness dissolves the illusion of separation. The monad is not distant, it is the eternal pulse within every breath, the silent witness behind every thought. This is the monad. To live from this cognition is to embody divine citizenship, not of nations, but of creation itself. So when they ever deal with world citizenship, like, oh, that's the earth citizenship, so get a contract with Mother Earth herself by renouncing and revoking that what call it colonial, Yeah, the pre-birth citizenship, it's all colonial in its nature. So we have to extricate ourselves from, those things. We'll continue to say revocation as a spiritual reclamation. Again, revocation as spiritual reclamation. Renouncing the pre-birth citizenship contract is a ceremonial act of remembrance. It is a moment when the soul proclaims, I am not the construct, I am the consciousness that animates such construct, which is the vessel. The revocation does not destroy the world system, but reposition the individual within them, within the system, as a sovereign observer rather than a bound, colonized, enslaved participant. I'll repeat that. Renouncing the pre-birth citizenship contract is an internal ceremonial act of remembrance, because it's all internal. But if we not express it ceremonially, how we not gonna get it? So I like to bring clarity again. It is a ceremonial act of remembrance. It is a moment when the soul proclaims that I am not the construct, not the legal entity, not the all capital name. I am the consciousness that animates this vessel, what I'm calling the body, the corpus. The revocation does not destroy the world system, because we don't care nothing about it. All it do is reposition the individual man or woman within this demonic system. Now, as a sovereign observer rather than a bound participant. That's why I must say, extricate yourself from that citizenry and start there. You're going to see a total distinction of function, really. But you have to learn from here. Yes, alone are presented. Only this sovereign office, this location. Now, through this declaration, one ceases to identify with the psychic structure, which is that legal entity, that all capital name, being imposed by non-human entities, often symbolized as organs, forces that feed upon ignorance and fear. You see, these two things, ignorance and fear, we have to study these emotions, really. Yeah, man, we have to check it, you know? Yeah, man. Forces that feed on the ignorance and fear. Awareness, cognizance become the sword that serves these binding, that severs these binding. Again, being cognizant, being aware, become the sword and the tool that severs, that cut these bindings, these bonds. The act of revocation thus transforms into a rite of liberation, restoring the luminous connection between the divine spark and the monad, or conclusion. The return to source. The declaration of presence is not merely a statement, it is a living vibration. It calls the being to awaken, to remember, and to stand as a conscious emanation of the divine. When the contractual self is dissolved, the eternal self shines unobscured, radiant, sovereign, and whole, truly complete. To revoke the pre-birth citizenship contract is to reclaim one's rightful place in the cosmic order, a child of the monad, a bearer of divine light, and a witness to the eternal truth that presence itself is freedom. Wow. Complete gratitude. Now, this is part one I don't know if I should give on a part 2 right now. Yeah, man. I don't know if I should give on a part 2. But let me check to see if it populate. Salute, me have a one viewer in the thing. Complete gratitude for your presence. Yeah, man. Now, part 2, declaration of presence, pre birth citizenship contract revocation, part 2. Let's see what kind of time we have. Oh, 15 minutes. Yeah, man, we can mess with this a little bit. The Jamaica Nationality Act of 1962 is the primary legislation governing the acquisition, deprivation, and renunciation of citizenship in Jamaica, operating alongside the 1962 Constitution. It establishes that citizenship is primarily obtained through birth, jus soli, descent, jus sanguinis, or registration, just as through marriage to a Jamaican citizen. Now, when you say jus soli, them thing you are the old Latin, not the dog Latin where some of our unlearned people like to spew and act like them know anything. Really. When you speak Latin, bring any foreign word where you present, bring the English definition. When you can't bring the English definition, then we're going to have to wonder how we're going to learn, how we're going to know anything. Now, key contractual provision, nationalization. Foreign national may apply for citizenship by naturalization if they have resided in Jamaica for at least 7 years in total, including the 12 months immediately preceding the application. Applicants must be of good character, of legal capacity, pay attention, legal capacity, not lawful, and intend to reside in Jamaica. That's why I'm a fire-bound citizenship. Any little foreign vagabond can come itch up around here and get all kind of privileges, while the common people, the original folks here, suffer. I fire-bound this thing. There is no formal test. Unlike many other countries, Jamaica does not currently require formal language or civic examination for naturalization. That means that any Spanish, any man can come and talk any fuckery language and tongue and come fit in and say them a citizen. We not gonna accept that. Decapitation I go rise in this nation. Now them say eligibility is assessed based on residency, good character, and financial solvency. That means them can't be insolvent, them can't be bankrupt, them have to come here with a bag of money. Now, if you use a little pedophile with a bag of money, like the elites, them will always come spread out in our best location here, then you're not going to have no problem coming here and being a Jamaican citizen. Not at all. As filthy as it may be, you're a citizen around here. That's why we say we're born it. We not participate in it. We not associate ourselves with it. We are the original ones here. Ahuuah, to be specific. West Indian by its general term. Clarity. Now, dual citizenship. Jamaica permits dual citizenship, meaning individuals are not required to renounce their existing foreign nationality upon becoming a Jamaican citizen. Denaturalization. The Minister of National Security may deprive naturalized citizens only of their citizenship and can deprive the Jamaican who are original if it is not conducive to the public good or if they have acted disloyally. Now, when you renounce and revoke the pre-birth citizenship contract, you stop identifying the contractual self, the psychic structure, the legal entity layered over your divine spark by non-human entities, archons. Be cognizant that the physical body corresponds with the physical world, while the non-physical body, which is the divine spark, corresponds with the monad, the divine source of existence. There is an ancient version of this conversation that turns revocation into a kind of spiritual consumerism, a ritual you perform, an affirmation you repeat, a visualization you run before sleep that dissolves your karmic agreement and set you free. This is not a technique. This is a reorientation, and the reorientation starts with a single move that sounds simple and is actually one of the most difficult things a human being embedded in the consensus reality of the material world can do. Again, you stop identifying the contractual self as if it is you. Ancient text keeps returning to a single question about identity. It distinguishes between the name you carry, the social, cultural, Christian, religious identities that were deposited upon you, and the nameless reality underneath them, fiction. It suggests that the attachment to named identity is itself a form of the bondage the material world imposes, and that the path through is not accumulating better names like Nestorian thing, but seeing through the naming function entirely. Right? Yeah, so now we can break down the information from the birth certificate when you have your proper name, your proper lawful name, and then convert it by nomenclature, the naming office or the naming authority, at least about a month. In my case, I think it was like 29 days after the birth name was issued, and all of this information is on the birth registration form. But if you're not on this level, you'll not be able to ascertain this kind of information from that simple document. You won't. You just look at it like, oh, you've been looking at it forever, like just a piece of paper. Now, this is a specific description of a specific interior move. This is how they mash you up. Imagine that you were taken as an infant and enrolled without your consent in a foreign institution like the foreign citizenship, whether US citizenship or Jamaican citizenship or any ship, any citizenship. The foreign institution gave you a legal name in all caps, a position or role, a set of duties and obligation, a foreign history, and a foreign future trajectory. It told you its rules were the laws of reality itself, and your obligation to it were eternal. Now, this information I want to get from a platform where deal with the Gnostic information. Yeah, man. So what I'm gonna do is just integrate it and rearrange it accordingly so my common people can have this kind of clarity and comprehension from a grassroots perspective. So we salute the ones that will share esoteric information where we can resonate with, what bring clarity within us so we can choose to express it. Again, salute out there. The foreign system did all of this so thoroughly, so early, so continuously, that by the time you were old enough to question it, you had long since stopped distinguishing between the foreign institutions' claim about you and the divine spark that animate you is the true you. Revoking the pre-birth contract is not leaving the foreign institution. You may not be able to leave per se. The material world, which is a foreign institution, is still the material world. And the body, which is the corpus, the physical vessel, the psychic construct, is still the body. The archonic foreign system still administers the condition of your worldly life. That's why them say, get out of the world. And the ancient religious ones them will say, you're in the world, but not of the world. The most important thing is to recognize that the foreign institutions' claim about you were never true, not wrong in a way that can be corrected by a better institution. No, wrong at the root core. The all cap name they gave to you was never you. The obligation they assigned to you were never yours. The fate they wound around your divine spark, that fictional all caps, the compounding karmic chain was built by something that does not have ultimate authority over what you fundamentally are as a divine spark, or which is a divine spark. Now, this part might be controversial, but we are push it the same way. Judgment. The God who created this world, the God who authored its rules as law and administered it, was not the highest God, was not, in fact, deserving of worship, was not worthy of the contractual submission that the entire apparatus of organized religion requires. The Judean, Christian, and Islam religion can't exactly run a hierarchical institution if the fundamental premise of the institution that the God at the top of their hierarchy, the top God, turns out to be a theological error. Boom, fireball. The trimorphic protenoia, also known as the three forms of first thought, is a Thessian Gnostic text from the New Testament Apocrypha. We don't have access to this. Preserved in the Nag Hammadi library, specifically Codex 13, number 13. In this ancient text, trimorphic protenoia, the divine voice that speaks through the text, the triple-powered, the luminous feminine principle that descended through the cosmic layer to awaken those who carry the divine spark, uses languages that I find almost unbearably precise for this moment. This is what she says in one of the passages. I am the movement that disturbs. I am the proclamation. I am the sound before the word. I entered the midst of their prison. I shook the foundations thereof. Not a petition, not a request for liberation addressed to any specific authority, but a declaration of presence that make the prison's claim to authority visible as a claim and therefore as something that can be withdrawn from. Clarity. The mechanism. The contract doesn't require your conscious signature. It only requires your unconscious compliance. And unconscious compliance is the default state of a being who has been successfully persuaded that the psychic structure built around its divine spark is identical to that divine spark. It is not. Revocation then is not a ritual act. It is a cognitive and ontological act. It is the moment, and it may happen slowly in layers over years, when the identification breaks. In other words, It might not snap at a finger overnight, but by I planting the seed as the I then go forward, eventually it will go ignite, take root, and manifest within you. You won't be able to help it. Yeah, you're not going to be able to help it. That's why we plant these seeds. When you stop experiencing the contractual self as you and start experiencing it as something that was installed within you, something that runs behind the scenes, something that has no ultimate claim on the luminous thing, that light underneath it, that was never generated by the demiurge's system and therefore cannot be finally governed by it. That's why we so unruly, brawling. God and knowledge what we keep. That's it. Only knowledge can make you free. The pre-birth contract, as the Gnostic conceived of, it is not a document. Again, the pre-birth contract, as the Gnostics conceive of it, is not a document. It is a structure of identification. It is a moment, and it may have happened so early that no memory survived it. When the incarnated spark, divine spark, accept the terms of psychic existence inside the demiurge's constructed reality. Again, inside, that's what we're there. Inside the demiurge constructed reality, fake reality. Not because it was forced, because it forget there was an alternative. This is why we say sovereignty. Sovereignty is the alternative to citizenry. I hope you people are getting this clarity. I'm offering it freely. No complaints out here, only silence. The Apocryphon of John described this not as coercion, but as something closer to seduction. The archons fashion a body with a psychic layer around the body, and the divine spark descends into that body and becomes, in some functional sense, convinced that the constructed layer are its home, not its prison. Its home. Anybody miss that? That you are in fact in prison? I mean, jump out of the prison and I show the item said that is the prison by your own, assent, by your own agreement, by your own participation. You're giving this thing life. Again, many shall be called, chosen will always be few. Yeah, man. Revocation is the reversal of that prison conviction. The reversal does not require you to destroy the psychic structure. It does not require you to stop having a personality, preferences, even fear attachments. The Gnostic path was never about annihilation of self in the Buddhist sense. What it requires is a paradigm shift in the locus of identification. Wow! You stop experiencing the constructed artificial self as the ground of your being and start experiencing it as only the surface, something you wear, something that functions, something that is not lying to you exactly. It just doesn't know what it is. It thinks it's you because it was built to think it's you. That is the legal entity I'm talking about. Yeah, man. Now, emphasis is placed on a single passage where the divine voice declares, I am the one who dwells in the light. I move in every creature, not as a visitation, not as a distant deity sending a signal, but as an imminent presence. Again, as an imminent presence that was never actually absent, only forgotten or unrecognized. The primary mechanism of bondage is not violence, it is amnesia. And that primary act of liberation, the primary act of liberation is not escape per se, but it is remembrance, which means that the contract, to the extent it is real, is a contract written in forgetting. Yeah. And revocation is not the tearing of a document, it is a recovery of memory, precise enough that the terms and conditions of those citizenship contract become visible. That's why I'm gonna say it's there, so I don't have to renounce it. But when I look upon just the physical aspect totally, I ignore the spiritual ramifications. Hence, we have to present this information. Once visible, once fully seen and named, they can no longer operate as invisible architecture of your experience. Now, comprehending this conceptually is only half of it, because you can now track the cosmological logic of all our one. Now, we have more we're going to bring forward later, but we just kind of compact some information for bring this presentation in an effort to, again, bring honorable clarification. So we just say step by step, really. This kind of information will naturally fly over most people's head. Why? Again, we have to plant the seed. People think they are, in fact, the psychic structure, the legal entity, the legal persona that was imposed upon them by foreign colonizing institutions. They're totally unaware. Now, by me sharing this information, we are planting the seed of clarity. We are planting the seed of truth, and we are making an effort to bring accuracy so people can be more precise in whatever they might try to accomplish out there. Now, that the words of our mouth and the meditation of our heart be acceptable unto the monarch, the source of all existence. We do give thanks and praise. Complete gratitude. Stay bold and brave out there. Stay firm and strong. Most importantly, stay wild and free in your sovereign state capacity. Complete gratitude. Love, respect, and honor to you all.